So, Parashat, the two parashiyot of Acharei and Kedoshim show us or give us a chance to see something that usually does not really come up to the surface, we don't really see. If you look at the end of Perek Yudchet, which is the end of Parashat Acharei, the end of the Perek deals with Arayot, with forbidden relationship. And Perek Yutet, which starts Parashat Kedoshim, starts with something completely different. It starts with issues of state and issues that are between man and his fellow man, between man and his family. And only in chapter 20, Perek Chav, all of a sudden we're coming back again and we are dealing with the punishments of the Arayot. And the question is, why is it like this? Why didn't the Torah give us the punishments of the Arayot right next to the commandment of the Arayot, just like anybody else, like anything else? Don't do it, and if you do it, this is going to be it. All of a sudden there is a break in that in the flow of the Torah speech. We need to understand, first of all, that according to the Kabbalah, according to the words of Rav Abba in the Zohar, when they learned Parashat Kedoshim, they came to a tremendous joy. They used to celebrate. It was because basically the whole concept of the Torah, everything stems from this parasha. So it is fascinating to understand that, and then why we're going to take a little bit of a different angle now than we usually do. And we should know that Parashat Arayot, when it deals with the forbidden relationships, deals entirely with the fulfillment of the desires of the man, of mankind, in a completely opposing way to what is natural in the world or what is acceptable in the world. While the minhag of the way of the things to do is the importance of the family and maintaining what we could define by learning or by knowing or by giving to us from father to son, it comes and kind of challenges a little bit. All of a sudden comes Parashat Arayot and distorts those relationships, those flowing, those good relationships that should be in a normal functioning family. And here comes the Torah, and it teaches us and tells us that those things in which we say v'chai b'hem, and you should live by, then the Torah tells us something else, and it tells us all of a sudden you should be Kedoshim tiyu ki kadosh ani, and because I am holy, you should be holy, therefore because I am holy, and so on and so forth. And how this exactly comes to play a role? I mean, it seems really like somebody did a cut and paste and put things together, and it's quite not understood. What does Parashat Arayot have to do with Kibud Avaim? What does Parashat Arayot have to do with running a state, with running a country? And what does it have to do with anything? Well, it has to do a lot. It says, the Torah tells us that even if a person is chayav in kavod aviv and imo, in the respect of his father and mother, and especially today since we are sitting here for Ilui Nishmat Simi Bat Bada, Menuchata Began Eden, it's very important that we understand those things. The Torah tells us that you have to listen to or respect your parents, and however, if they'll tell you to violate one of the laws of the Torah, like Shabbat, you don't have to listen to them. Why? Because they are also commended in Kvod Shamayim. And so I'm going to ask you the following. I need the Torah to tell me that. I need the Torah to tell me that. I mean, because mitzvat kibud avaim is one mitzvat aseh. to do one mitzvah. And in mitzvah shmirat Shabbat, there are many mitzvot aseh and mitzvot lo ta'aseh. So of course this should override the other. I mean, why do I need the Torah to come and tell me that? And it's a very interesting matter. The Torah is actually a lesson the Torah is teaching us here. The Torah, by saying that, teaching us the essence of our emunah and how we interact in the world. I mean, none of us, and I'm not talking about our neshamot, our souls that were in Har Sinai and so on and so forth. None of us heard from HaKadosh Baruch Hu to keep Shabbat. None of us heard from HaKadosh Baruch Hu any mitzvah to do or not to do. None of us. And if you do claim that HaKadosh Baruch Hu spoke to you and told you to keep Shabbat, spoke to you and told you, I can show you a nice shrink, and you can go and have some pills because there's something wrong with you. So how do we know to keep Shabbat? Where does it come for us to keep Shabbat, to keep mitzvot, and so on and so forth? It's very simple. Our parents, our fathers, our mothers told us to do so. So I would have said, since they told me to keep Shabbat, and now they tell me, my parents, Chas v'sholom, tell me to violate Shabbat, I should come and listen to them, because after all, I did hear it from them. Nobody told me that. My parents taught me to keep Shabbat. I learned by example at home and so on and so forth. Comes the Torah and says, no. Including the emunah of HaKadosh Baruch Hu that you received from your parents, but the Torah tells you here, regardless of that, my dear friend, you're going to be Mechalel Shabbat. And therefore you cannot do that. That's why after the Torah gives us the Parashat Acharei and warns us from the importance of keeping the format of Kedushat HaMishpacha, the holiness of the family, comes the Torah and gives us different kinds of warning and different issues that have to do with the state or between Adam and Chavero, as we said previously. And later on, it tells us the punishments of the Arayot to tell us the following: that when you break the format of the family, כשאנחנו שוברים את המסגרת של המשפחה, when we destroy the format of the family, which is very important for us to understand, not only we affect the Kedushat HaPrat, the holiness of the individual, not only that, you are also affecting the Kedusha in the integrity overall of even your nation and the world and everything else like this. That's why one of the Pirushim, they said that when a person divorces his real wife, his Zivug Rishon, the Mizbeach cries upon him. Not because people don't get along. People can argue, people don't get along, which is fine, it's normal, it's fine. But in the format of a family, there's something greater than just two people making a contract. Okay, let's live together, let's share together. That's why the whole idea of today, which we have same-sex marriage, man marrying a man, woman marrying a woman, a dog marrying a cat, this is ridiculous. And that's why we're in the state that we are today, of lack of holiness and tremendous deterioration of morals in our society. There's something holy in the integrity of the family. Not only about the Jewish family, Rabotai. Not only the Jewish family. Any family. I'll give you an example. In the up to the mid-60s and so on, if you talked about an example family and family values, you always refer to a black family, what we call today African American. Because their family integrity was important. And I'm not saying that we should not give people rights and so on. On the contrary, everybody is equal. We should not discriminate because of race or color and anything like this. However, together with the freedom that they got, something else had happened. The integrity of the black family started to deteriorate. It started to deteriorate until it brought us to a point today that you can have a woman, you can have 4 kids from 5 different husbands, or at least. And that's why you have the society in terms of black people today, they suffer, they go to jail more than everybody else. It's because the family fell apart. There's no healthy structural family. Why Chinese people or Orientals are very successful in America? Because their families are very intact. The integrity of the family by those communities is important. We as Jews are the same thing. And you could see that families that their family integrity is not so important, they're not doing so well. So you need to understand why the Torah put this there. When a person starts zigzagging around and he's doing things he's not supposed to do morally, you might say, hey, I feel like doing it, so I'm going to do it. And I'm going to tell you, listen, Habibi, you are doing it, that's very nice, but you're also causing damage. You're affecting everybody around. It's like a person that decides to drive recklessly. You want to drive recklessly, not a problem. Go on the top of a mountain, drive yourself off the cliff. I don't know, what do you want me to do? But if you're driving recklessly, you're endangering me. Why are you endangering me? It's not right of you to do so. And that's a problem. In our society, we think that everything that I feel like doing, I can do. Everything is allowed. This issue of political correctness is horrendous. It destroys our society completely. And that's why there's no Kedusha. Unfortunately, also by us. And I'll explain to you why. And that's why those 2 parashiyot in the whole entire Torah, you're only going to find that expression, Daber el kol adat bnei Israel. Daber el kol adat, speak to all the congregates of Israel. Kulam, men, children, women, old people, everybody. Which is here when they're taking the sed, the baby goat, ish lebet avot, se labait, each one. Why? Because when you keep your house, when you are guarding, when you shomer et habayit, when you're guarding your house, you're also guarding the integrity of your country, of your people, of your nation. And here comes the Torah and finishes it, those 2 parashiyot, it says, V'ayitim li kedoshim ki kadosh ani, va'avdel etchem min ha'amim liyot li. You are going to be holy because I am holy, and I am going to separate you from the nations. What does it mean, separate you from the nations? Am Yisrael, we need to understand that Am Yisrael has a set rule of values that they receive from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for a very specific task, for a very specific reason, that's what makes Am Yisrael unique. When you start adapting other concept, and I'm not saying we should live in a cave in the Middle Ages somewhere, with burqas and I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about core Jewish values. When we start to adapt other core values of other nations with different mindsets, we lose our identity because those ideas were manufactured by men and our ideas were given to us by God, and there's quite of a difference between the two. So when you do that, you cannot become holy. And that's not a problem. For example, we talked about faggots before. I told you again, not a problem. If the whole entire world say that they are okay, and the Torah tells you they're not okay, so the Torah tells you they're not okay, and that's why I go by. I cannot go and change the Torah now. If the Torah tells you that a woman, a Eshet Ish, should be loyal to a husband, and the husband should be loyal to her, what they do in the world is none of my business. Lo achtli. I don't really care. The Kedusha of Am Yisrael is staying unique to that, because otherwise we're just like anybody else. We're just like any other nation. What makes us unique is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Nothing in this world is Kadosh by itself. Kadosh by other nations, by other religions, is something completely different than Judaism. In Christianity, you have to be canonized as a saint, and then they worship you. In other religions, you go on a mountain, you sit there by yourself, you become holy. In Judaism, it's not like that. You become holy, you have to understand why. Kedoshim atem, why? Why? Ki kadosh ani. The Kedusha of Am Yisrael stems and comes only from the Kadosh Baruch Hu, from His Kedusha. So therefore, in order for me to become holy, I need to seek closeness to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. How do I seek closeness to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Very simple. I follow what He tells me to do. And when I'm not doing that, I'm not holy. I become unholy. Hamavdil ben Kodesh lechol. Everything that we do, everything in this universe is a separation of good and bad. It's one big factory that separates good, separates bad. Separates good from bad. Everything. Besides Shabbat, the berur is done by itself. That's why you're not allowed to do borer on Shabbat. The berur is done by itself. But everything is berur, selection, separation. You eat, I don't know what, whatever you eat. Right? What does your body do? Separates the good, keeps it, and the bad discharges it. What happened to the bad becomes tameh. That's why you go, you do netilat yadayim. Everything is about separation. We should know how to distinguish between holy and unholy. That's our job. But when we don't know, when we are incapable of separating between holy and unholy, we are going to make a mistake. And we are in a state of confusion. We are in a state of tov vavohu. The Torah, Kadosh Baruch Hu gave us the Torah for something very simple. To be able to take this world and bring it and to fix what has to be fixed and to bring it to the state of the world before the sin of Adam HaRishon. Before he ate from Etz Hadat. When Adam HaRishon ate from Etz Hadat, he could not distinguish anymore between good and bad. Everything was balagan. Tov vavohu, balagan. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, listen, mankind created a problem. Let me find the most capable people to do so. For whatever reason, He chose us. He gave us an instrument in which we could do that. That is the Torah. And now we should go and fix the world. Now, I'm going to tell you this. That's why a person should develop a sense of responsibility and to understand that this is his job and it's not up to him. I feel like it. Bali, lo bali, ken bali, lo bali. Nobody's asking you. You have a job to do. It's your job. You're going to do it. You have to do it. And when you choose not to do it, Habibi, you mess it up to all of us. Ata hores lekulanu. Because we are all in this together. If we are one body, each and every one of us is a cell in the body, ta baguf. And one cell decides, אני לא בא לי, לא רוצה להיות כמו כולם. I don't want to function. מי זה הגוף הזה? Who is this body who's going to tell me what to do? I don't want to. I'm a liver cell. I don't want to be a liver cell anymore. They tell me, they go 1, 2, 3, split. 1, 2, 3, split. They say, I don't want to do 1, 2, 3, split. You're going to do 1, 2, 3, I'm going to do split, split, split. You know what you get? You get cancer. Very simple. So those of us who did not develop this responsibility and understanding to take a part in this job that we need to do are destroying to us all. Have you ever seen a sick person who has cancer? I did. My father is sick. I've seen it. My father was like strong like you can't believe. Listen, I'm strong. Believe me, I'm strong. I'm nothing. When my father was, 60 years old, I had a hard time, and I won everybody in arm wrestling. Nobody. I could not beat my father. Now I see my father. I see my father now. I can't believe that. But it's all because of the cigarettes. Don't smoke. Don't smoke. I'm telling you now, I'm warning you, don't smoke. It's never too late to quit. Don't smoke. If you love yourself, if you love your children, if you love life, don't smoke. Asur, asur. Drop it. Asur. And I see it how it is. I see how my father is. He's so tired. He's so fragile. That's what we do. It weakens us. And why? Because he has a tumor like that in the lungs. That's what he does. Those little tumors inside of us weaken us. We can help them. And they should understand. Listen, I want to be together. Why? Because that cell, that cancerous cell inside the body, what does he think? He's going to overwin the body and is going to live forever while the body is dying. He dies together with the body. הוא הולך ביחד עם הגוף. לא יחיה מעבר לגוף. We have to do this job. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, listen, you have to fix this world. And I'm going to help you. Here's the Torah. Start living according to that. You're not alone. And I'm going to give you a special power. Because it's not easy to fix. And what's this power that I'm going to give you? I'm going to give from my Kedusha upon you. The Kedusha is what is going to help us. Because how do I know to distinguish between good and bad? The Kedusha tells me. I know inside what's good and what's bad. I don't need, a barometer. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives me the Kedusha, so I should know. But what do we do? The Kedusha, יאללה, שקט, שתוק עכשיו, קדושה, אין לי זמן לקדושה. מהר, let's go home. Count tells us Parashat Acharei Kedoshim. It all starts from the inyan of Arayot, from the issues of Arayot. All the ta'avat of basar, whether it's basar le'echol or basar acher, it's all because of ta'avat basar, the desire of the flesh. A person says, it's very hard to be a Jew. It's not easy. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, guys, don't worry. As much as you separating it yourself from me, I'll help you. What does it mean? It means the following. Chazal tells us the following. A person cannot say, for me to eat pig, impossible. I cannot eat pig. To eat lobster? אי אפשר לי לאכול lobster. זה לא יכול. He says, no, that's the wrong way to go about things. Can you eat pig? בטח שאני יכול לאכול חזיר. Is pig good? Is the chazer taste good? Without a doubt it tastes good. The whole entire world eats it, they like it. So I'm going to tell you it doesn't taste good. Of course it tastes good. Does lobster taste good? Of course it tastes good. It costs, I don't know how much, but it costs a lot of money. The nice lobster tail from Maine Costs a lot of money. Of course it tastes good. However, אפשר לי לאכול, I could eat it, but I'm not eating it because HaKadosh Baruch Hu, my Abba told me not to eat it. אפשר לי לאכול, אבל המעשה, אבי שבשמיים גזר עליי. הקדוש ברוך הוא told me not to eat, and that's it. When I'm going to do so like this, הקדוש ברוך הוא said, Kedoshim תהיו. When you are preventing, you're getting another mitzvah. When he says, I can eat it, I can do it. And that's the difference between us and the Goyim. When you look at the Rambam, when the Rambam wrote his Yad Chazakah, the part that is called Kedusha, holiness, does not deal with meditation, does not deal with making incense or doing yoga or doing this, doesn't talk about that. He talks about Ma'achalot Asurot v'Yisurei Biyah. That's it. So in Judaism, when you want to become holy, you don't prevent yourself from derech hateva, whatever it is to eat, to multiply, and so on and so forth, like some other people. There is a secret here in Judaism that Kadosh Baruch Hu tells us, and then what we should understand. The Kedusha comes with my ability not to prevent myself, but rather to restrain myself. And why do I do so? Kadesh et atzmecha b'mutar lecha. We all know not to eat pig. We all know that we have to eat kosher. אבל גלת kosher, לא צריך גלת kosher, הכל כשר, תביא, נו, תביא. It doesn't work like that. You might be right. It's not taref. But you're missing out on the big picture. You're missing out on the big picture. And I'm going to tell you the following. There are different ways. A person could become what we call davar b'reshut HaTorah. A person could keep kol taryag mitzvot. And yet, would not keep one. Because it depends on your attitude. It all depends on the attitude. On how and why are you doing what you're doing. And a person needs to be very careful. You could keep tzniut and yet be a complete parutz. You could keep kashrut and get no reward for it whatsoever. But if you're saying you understand why, I want to do it. It is not a problem for me to do it. I want to. I understand that this is good, but I want to keep it because HaKadosh Baruch Hu told me. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, you desire me, and I'll desire you back. You are my people, and I'll be your God. But the hitorerut needs to be from us, from down here. Always, always. That connection of two things comes to teach us something else. The Torah comes and tells us new concept, because everybody knows not to kill, not to steal, not to do this. Everybody knows that. You can take a philosopher and it will tell you it's not good to kill a person. But then can come another philosopher and tells you, well, you know, if a person is so and so forth, so kill it. But everybody understand that stealing, you know, comes the Torah tells you something different. Something that the philosophers, or by my doubt, I'm not allowed to, I won't be able to. And that's what the Torah comes and says. And the Kavanah is Kedoshim to you, Kadesh et atzmecha b'mutar lecha. In other words, you voluntarily putting limitations, boundaries on yourself in order to train yourself. If you want to achieve something in your life, you need to know, you need to understand one thing. You must have discipline. If you כולכם הייתם בצבא, נכון? כולם היו בצבא פה, נכון? פחות או יותר. יופי. מי יותר, מי פחות. One thing you know when you go to the army is you have to be disciplined. If you go army, כולם שלה בלה, this one wear one shoe, זה נעל אדומה, this red shoe, the blue shoe, חולצה בחוץ, חולצה בפנים, that's not, זה לא צבא. It's I don't know, it's a guerrilla unit, it's some kind of פלנגות, אני לא יודע מה זה. Terror organization. In order to achieve anything, you must have discipline. And the first thing they do to a soldier, to a bachur, a young man who comes and joins any army, the first thing they do, they work on him is on his discipline. Before you shoot a gun, before you hold a gun, you learn discipline. You get off the bus, yes sir, no sir, can't forget, no. That's what you do, discipline. Why? Because without discipline you can't achieve a thing, nothing. And then you have to be more restrained. I want to express my I don't know, my dressing thing, so I'm going to wear, I don't know, a yellow shirt with my army, clothing, and no, Habibi, it doesn't go like this. You're going to be dressed according to what we're going to tell you. And that's why armies are very efficient. And the more efficient the army, the better it could actually perform. And so is to your life. If you're going to be very disciplined, you're going to achieve. In any aspect of your life. So is to Judaism. In the Israeli army, they have this concept. It's called Rosh Katan, play small head. You didn't tell me, I didn't do. I don't need to. But those people never reach the ranks. They never become officers. They never been spotted as a potential leader. We as Jews are leaders of the nations. We cannot play Rosh Katan. We need to take an initiative to ourselves to do things, to show examples to others of how to do things like that. We sanctify ourselves, b'mutar lanu. It says to us, keep Shabbat. When does Shabbat start? When does Shabbat start?
Yeah.
Okay, בסדר, שישי בלילה, בטח לא ביום ראשון. When? Sundown, right? Sundown, and then to sundown. But we say no. תוספת Shabbat, a little bit. כמה תוספת Shabbat? כלשהו. I don't know, second, a minute. We say no, 18 minutes. And then we say no, a little bit further. And it changes your attitude. And you understand. Because you want to keep Shabbat. Because you understand what Shabbat is all about. And that's not a problem. When you show restraint, you train yourself to excellence. When you go, everything is okay, haywire, that's Las Vegas. There's a place like this in, I think once a whatever year, I don't know, once a year or once, how do you call it, Burning Man, and they do it in the desert somewhere. Akol mutar, מה שאתה רוצה מותר. You want drugs? Mutar. You want, לא יודע, מה שאתה רוצה מותר. Everything is allowed. But that's not the way for society to operate. As it is at the end, they burn everything down. Everything is burned down. It's in the desert. Nothing will happen. The issue of Kedoshim is to understand what Jewish values are about, what core Jewish values are about, to understand that the halachot here did not come to restrict me. Whatever Chachamim tell us did not come to restrict me. Did not come to tell me, you can't do this, you can't do this. But on the contrary, those boundaries that are defined by halakha came to give me freedom. They are here to give me an ability to operate. Because I know exactly what's allowed, I know exactly what's not allowed. I have points of reference, I can go further. If I'm going to put you in a flat area, with no points of reference, I'll tell you, go, lech, go. You're going to find yourself after 3 hours coming back to the same spot that you were before. Because there's no point of reference. You can go, and that's what will happen. You'll go in circles, you will never go anywhere in your life. In order to go forward, you have to define left, you have to define right, you have to find the center, and then you go by it. And that's what the Rambam says. Shvila Zahav. But you cannot find the center unless you define right, and you define left. That's why we need to learn halakha. We must learn halakha. We have to. And the same thing comes to the parents. When we educate our children, it's a dilemma. In one hand, you want your child to be atzmai, independent. In one effect, you need to protect your kid. You don't want him to be hurt or harmed. To find this balance between letting go and holding back, letting go and holding back, that's the greatest challenge of a parent. To know exactly what is allowed for me to do as a Jew or is not allowed for me as a Jew, again, it's not a restriction, it's a gift, it's a God-given gift. So when you don't operate and understand that it's a God-given gift, let me ask you a question. What's the point of you living here? Why are you alive? What's the reason you are here? You don't even know. And that's lost. And to living a lost life is the most horrible thing. It's the most horrible thing. So here comes HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who says to us, listen, Rabotai, Kedoshim atem ki kadosh ani, and Kedusha comes from me, but Kedusha does not come by itself. For Kedusha, you need to do an action. You need to act. You need to be active. You need to be alive. And a person, a Jew, needs to know and needs to understand that he needs to be in constant movement all his life, always to become better and better, to fix, to help, to guide, lishmor, lilmod, lelamed, always, 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 because kiyum mitzvot comes from learning, comes from teaching, and it's the movement between learning and teaching that eventually will give you lilmod, lelamed, lishmor, lasot, ulekayem. Kiyum mitzvot, the kiyum, ulekayem, kiyum, existence depends on your initial movement from moving from learning to action to teaching. When you are not acting, when you are not participating, when you are not helping others, that's not life. When you're not in a movement, continuous in movement. Why is that? Because the world does not stop. Time does not stop. Everything in nature is always in a constant movement. When you stop moving, you're going in a state of completely unnatural state. That's why you must develop, improve yourself. Al ta'amen ba'atzmecha ad yom motcha. Don't believe in yourself until the day you die, means that you always have to work on yourself. The reason that they said, Baruch Hashem, I reached the goal, that's it, nothing to work on me, I'm perfect. Never such a thing. And that's the most beautiful thing. That's why the Torah is endless. You're never going to say, Lamati kol ha-Torah kula, because it's impossible. Why is it good? Because there's always more to learn, deeper, wider. And that's the beauty of HaKadosh Baruch Hu that gave us, and that's the Kedusha of Am Yisrael. The Kedusha of Am Yisrael is to understand these things. When you lose those things, you lose your Kedusha. When you lose those things, you lose your identity as a Jewish person, as what is called Am Yisrael. Do not adopt or try to bring about or try to judge foreign concept with Jewish concept. You need to know your stuff. You need to know your own things. It's a requirement for you to learn. It's a requirement for you to act. It's a requirement for you to teach. And we should stand guard because the existence of our children is dependent on what we are going to give them. As we told you before, the Torah is handed from father to son. That's why the Chazal tells us that when a grandfather has his grandchild on his lap and he hears his grandchild says some pasuk from the Torah, it says to us, Ki'ilu kibla misinai. It's like you received the Torah at that moment in Har Sinai. Why? Because that's exactly what it's all about. So Rabotai, it's never too late. Let's roll our sleeves. We are counting the Omer. We're coming towards Shavuot. Let's use the rest of the time that we have here to propel ourselves further in Kedusha, in Yirah, to understand our job in this world, to understand our job and our relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to help another Jew, Ba'asher hu, to help every Jew, encourage ourselves to learn and encourage others. And how do you really effectively encourage others? By showing an example yourself. Don't tell somebody, hey Habibi, come to learn when you're not going to learn. You tell him, I'm going to learn, why won't you come with me? And that's the way it is. We cannot afford another Jew being lost. We cannot afford another Jew being lost. And it is our job to do so. יהי רצון מהקדוש ברוך הוא שתהיה לנפטרת שימי בת בדה שנשמתה תהיה בגן עדן, רוח השם תנחנה בגן עדן, בגן עדן מנוחתה, ויחזרו כל עם ישראל בתשובה שלמה לפניו, באהבה ובחדווה, ונהיה כולנו עם אחד, גוי אחד בארץ. אמן. יהי כן יהי רצון.